All right, let's just get straight to it. You might not want to hear this, but there's a very, very good chance you are slowly, methodically, and let's be honest, quite effectively murdering your car's engine. And the worst part? You probably think you're being a pretty good owner while you do it.
Right. Let's be absolutely clear on this. Catastrophic engine failure is almost never bad luck. Oh no, it is the completely predictable result of a series of bad habits. It's you treating your car with a kind of casual neglect you'd normally reserve for a plant you forgot you owned. So, let's go through the charge sheet and see just how guilty you are.
And first up, we have the Great British Warm-Up Ritual. You know the one, you pop outside, start the car, whack the heaters on full blast, and then leave it chugging away on the drive. It feels responsible, right? A little kindness on a cold morning. In reality, it's about as kind as giving your engine a nice bath in acid. It's genuinely one of the worst things you can do.
So here's the science bit. A cold engine runs rich, meaning it's just dumping extra fuel in. That unburned petrol acts like a solvent, literally washing the protective film of oil right off your cylinder walls. At the exact same time, condensation is building up, creating this nasty cocktail of acids that just sits there, eating away at the bare metal. You're not protecting it, you're stripping its defenses and giving it an acid bath.
And if you want to put a number on the damage, look at this. A proper engineering study found that one single cold start at -5 Celsius causes the same amount of cylinder wear as driving for nearly 100 kilometers. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Your 5-minute warm-up is adding the wear and tear of a trip from London to Cambridge before you've even left your driveway.
See, the logic is actually dead simple. An engine under a light load, just gentle driving, warms up way faster than one that's just sitting there idling. The whole game is to get it up to its happy operating temperature as quickly as possible to get it out of that high-wear, corrosive danger zone. Idling is without a doubt the slowest and most damaging way to do that.
So here is the official fix, the one that actual automotive engineers will tell you. Start the car, take about 30 seconds, buckle up, check your mirrors, find a decent playlist, whatever. Then just drive away. Gently. Keep the revs low. It's really that simple. It's the best thing for your engine, and it costs you absolutely nothing.
Okay, next up. The absolute backbone of British motoring. The short journey. That quick pop to the shops. The school run. That 2-mile drive to the station. To you, it's just a trip. But to your engine's logbook, that is classified as severe duty. That's the same category as, say, towing a caravan up a mountain pass in the middle of a heat wave.
And this table tells you exactly why. On those little trips, your engine never ever gets properly hot. And the result? Just look at those numbers. Compared to a good motorway run, your oil is suffering up to 8 times more fuel dilution, 4 times more soot, and 7 times more water contamination. You're not just driving, you are actively turning your expensive high-tech synthetic oil into useless, watery sludge.
Now, this horrible contaminated oil just can't do its job. For all you diesel owners out there, this is why your DPF gets clogged and those warning lights come on. The engine never gets hot enough to clean itself out. But for a huge number of modern petrol cars, especially here in the UK, there is a very specific and very expensive time bomb hiding in your engine.
It is called a wet belt. It's a timing belt that runs inside the engine, literally bathed in oil. Now, the catastrophic design flaw is that while the belt is fine with oil, it absolutely cannot handle petrol. And all that fuel contamination from your short trips attacks the rubber. It starts to break down, shedding little particles that go on to clog up the oil pump, which then starves the engine of lubrication. The result is sudden, catastrophic, and completely wallet-destroying engine failure.
So, how do you fight back? Well, first, stop using your car like a glorified shopping trolley. Try to group your errands into one longer journey. Second, make sure you give it a proper run at least once a week. I'm talking 15 to 20 minutes on a decent A road, not just stop-start city traffic. And finally, and this is a big one, service your car based on time, not just miles. If you're only doing 3,000 miles a year to the shops and back, that oil is still dying. It needs changing annually. No excuses.
The third deadly habit. Oh, this is one people do with the absolute best intentions. They're trying to save fuel by shifting into a high gear as early as they can, keeping those revs super low. You're doing 30 miles an hour in 5th gear, engine's barely ticking over, you feel very economical. You are, in fact, torturing your engine's internals. Think of it like this. It's like asking someone to lift a really heavy weight, but from a really awkward, strained position. When you floor the throttle at very low RPMs, you are putting an immense amount of stress on the pistons and the bearings. And in today's small turbocharged engines, this exact scenario can trigger a phenomenon that genuinely terrifies engineers.
It's called low-speed pre-ignition, or LSPI. Basically, the pressure inside the cylinder gets so high that the fuel mixture just spontaneously explodes before the spark plug has even fired. It is a completely uncontrolled, violent event. Experts don't just call it knock, they call it super knock.
See, normal combustion is a strong, controlled push on the piston. An LSPI event is like someone hitting the top of that piston with a sledgehammer. The pressure spikes are so insane they can crack pistons, bend connecting rods. We're talking about catastrophic, immediate engine failure. And it happens most often in that exact eco-driving scenario.
And the fix? It's literally what you were taught in your very first driving lesson. If you need to accelerate, change down a gear first. Let the engine spin freely in its power band, where it's happy, responsive, and efficient. An engine that's revving a little is a happy engine. An engine that's groaning and laboring is one that's getting seriously hurt.
So there you have it, the three big ones. The pointless warm-up, the constant short trips, and the fuel-saving lug. They all seem so harmless, don't they? But over time, they absolutely add up to serious and seriously expensive damage. But the good news is, it's really easy to stop.
So let's just pull this all together. Think of this as your new driving gospel. All it takes is this: a gentle start from cold, no more idling for minutes on end. Combine your short trips and give the car a proper run once a week. Use your gears, for goodness sake, don't labor the engine. Use the exact oil specified for your car. It has special additives to fight things like LSPI. And finally, service your car by the calendar, not just the odometer.
I absolutely love this quote from an engineer at Chevron. It's a bit crude, I'll grant you, but it's perfect. Your engine is constantly contaminating its own oil with soot, acid, unburned fuel, and water. The only way to get that filth out of there is to drain it. Every time you delay an oil change, you're just forcing your engine to live in its own waste for longer.
And maybe this is the most important thing to remember. Your car will not warn you about any of this. There is no dashboard light for excessive cylinder wear or your wet belt is about to snap. It will all seem completely fine right up until the moment it grenades itself on the M25. The only check engine light you're going to get is the 4-figure sum on your mechanic's invoice.
So ultimately, it just comes down to this. This isn't some obscure, secret mechanical knowledge. It's just the fundamentals. And changing a few simple habits is the difference between a car that sails past 150,000 miles without a murmur and one that dies an expensive, premature death at 50,000. The choice really is yours. So ask yourself, are you driving your car or are you just driving it into the ground?